try my best, but just don't get it right. Where I talk a talk that I don't walk and miss the moments right before my eyes. Somebody with a hurt that I could have helped, somebody with a hand that I could have held. When I just can't see past myself, Lord help me be a little more like mercy, a little more like grace, a little more like kindness, goodness, love and faith, a little more like patience, a little more like peace, a little more like Jesus, a little less like me.
There's no denying I have changed. I've been saved from who I used to be. But even at my best, I must confess, I still need it. See the way you see.
Somebody with a hurt that I could have helped, somebody with a hand that I could have held. And I just can't see past myself, Lord help me be a little more like mercy, a little more like grace, a little more like kindness, goodness, love and faith, a little more like patience, a little more like peace, a little more like Jesus, a little less like me.
Oh, to be the beggar on the street, Lord, to be your hands and feet, freely give what I receive, Lord, help me. I want to put you first above all else, love my neighbor as myself, in the moments no one sees, Lord, help me.
1, 2, 3.
A little
More
more
like mercy, a little more like grace, a little more like kindness, goodness, love and faith, a little more like patience, a little more like peace, a little more like Jesus, a little less like me. A little more I'm living, everything I preach, a little more like Jesus, a little less like me.
I want to look at work today because last week we began a series that'll continue through the end of June entitled The Most Important Verses You're Going to Need for the Rest of Your Life. And last week we looked at what is your purpose in life? You know, why were you born? Why are you here? Why are you still alive? We all have a purpose. All have the same purpose. Our purpose in life is to become like Jesus. And so as we looked at all that last week, then we also looked at Sunday night where how can we know God's will? We need to know God's will. How can we do that? And so we looked at all the different verses there about how to know God's will and being filled with the Holy Spirit and moving forward. And so all of that, those two scriptures, you're going to need the rest of your life because you're always going to need to know your purpose and you're always going to need to know God's will. And so we'll need that the rest of our life. But then we go today to another one. Whatever you do, give it all you got. And we want to talk about giving everything 100%. But then tonight we'll be looking at another verse. We'll need the rest of our life. How do you get Satan to leave you alone? How do you get him to leave you? How do you get him to move away from you? How do you overcome the devil? How do you have victory? So we'll look at that tonight. So all of this we will need for the rest of our lives. Well, we begin today in Colossians chapter 3. Only two verses that come with this that we need to know how to give it our all, whatever we do. And in Colossians 3:23 says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for men. And so as usual, we've got to make sure we understand what we're looking at here, what we're talking about, because we can just read it and say, well, that's good. But when we break it down and see the understanding of it, whatever you do, what does that actually mean? It means whatever you make, if you're making something, maybe you're sewing something, maybe you're doing something in the garden, home, work, school, whatever it is you're doing, whatever you're making, whatever you're producing. If you're producing something, you're manufacturing something, you're performing some kind of task, you're performing some kind of job there, you're creating something, you're practicing something, kind of like sports. You're constructing something, you're putting something together, you're committing to something. And so when he says, whatever you do, it means whatever you're making, producing, performing, creating, practicing, constructing, or committed to, do it with all your heart, because it says, work at it with all your heart, commit to it. We use that word a lot in sports. Are you committed to this task? Are you committed to doing that? Are you committing to giving your all? And we do that in school, we do that in work, we do that, whatever we do, we should be committed to something, whatever it is that we're going to do, we're committed to it, it means we're going to stay with it. So the work at it with all your heart means to commit to it and perform it, do it with all your soul, all your thoughts, you're focused on it, you're doing it with, you're thinking through it, all your feelings, how you feel about that job, all your strength, all your desire, and literally all your breath. And so you're putting everything into it. Whatever that is, whatever that task is, you're putting everything into it. It means to be genuine, to be real in whatever you do. You're not faking it. You're not just, I got to do this, got to do that. Here comes another day, here comes another night, here comes another task, another job, another performance, another thing I've got to do. I don't know when I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to, It's not that. We're genuine. We're real. We're putting our heart into it, putting our desire and our strength and everything we've got into it. So, whatever we do and perform, whatever we're doing out there, we commit ourselves to that task, and we do it with all of our heart. And we're being genuine. We're being real about it, and we do it in service for the Lord. Years ago, even before I got into the ministry, just before I got into the ministry, I was at a church, and so the pastor there, Brother Alton Thompson, said, we were doing a lot together, and he said, I play golf. Have you ever played golf? I said, no, I never picked up a golf bat. I don't know what a golf bat looks like. Being funny with him, I knew it wasn't a golf bat, but I knew about a baseball bat, golf club. And so he said, well, let's go play. I said, all right, let's go. So we loaded up. He got his golf clubs out, and he showed me some basic things about what to do, about how to hold the club and so forth. And so we played some golf. Well, it seemed kind of fun. I was an athletic kind of person. I was into sports all growing up. Seemed kind of fun, never had done anything like that. So he said, well, let's go again. So we went a second time, went a third time. So after the third time, he said, you're ready for me to take you to play with my buddies, my preacher buddies. They play a lot of times. There's four of them that play together. So I went with them and went up to a place called in Bernice, and we played up there and, had a good time and got to meet these other guys. And so we went another time after that, and third time. After the third time, they got their money together, and they bought me a set of golf clubs. And so it was a great gift. Thank you. You shouldn't have, but you did. And so we began playing a little bit. But here's what happened. I quit. Why did I quit? One reason. Chuck, can I get you to come up and do the demonstration with your golf club? I'll get to Chuck in a little while. I'll talk more about him later, but this is his golf club, and so he brought it. I wanted you to just see how he holds the golf club. Look at his hands, where he puts it on the club, and notice his right hand is down, the left hand's up, got a stance, got a hold, got a way to hold it, and that's the way you hold a golf club. He knows all about that. Now, if you go and take a shovel and hold that also, how would you hold a shovel? How would you grip a shovel, and how would you hold it with your hands? Oh, very gently, okay. Yeah. How would you hold it? Okay. What about a hoe? How are you going to do a hoe? All right. And a axe? What are you going to do with an axe? There you go. Okay. All right. Okay. And how about the baseball bat? Now it's knocked over. Okay. Now, noticing something about all that. Okay, thank you. noticing something about all of that, you can sit down now. You usually saw his right hand down and his left hand up. He's right. Why? Because he's right-handed. How many people in here are left-handed? Left-handed. We have a few, and one being my niece. Well, you see, when I was growing up, I'm right-handed. Everything I do is right-handed. I write right-handed. I'll throw a ball left-handed. You know, that's my primary hand to do whatever it is. Just like only 2 people said they were left-handed. The rest of you are right-handed, aren't you? You do the same thing. Everything you do is right-handed. Well, here's what I grew up in. My father was left-handed. So everything he taught me growing up from a little boy was a left-handed way. Now I'm right-handed. So when he showed me how to bat with a baseball bat, the only way I knew how to bat was because the way he taught me was left-handed. Now when Chuck was up here, his hands were like this because he's right-handed and he was taught how to bat right-handed. I wasn't taught how to bat right-handed. I was taught how to bat left-handed. So everything I do with a shovel or rake or hoe or anything like that, I'm doing it in a left-handed way like this, not the other way like in an axe or anything else. Why? Because that's the way I was taught, left-handed, even though I'm primarily right-handed. Everything else I did. You think that sounds kind of funny. You ought to see how I tie shoes. Anybody that's ever watched me tie shoes, I know, anybody that's ever watched me tie shoes, they take notice of it. How'd you learn how to tie your shoes? Well, my left-handed daddy taught me how to tie shoes as a right-handed person. And so maybe should have demonstrated that this morning too, and now your curiosity's up. It's very strange the way it worked out. So back to the golf with Brother Alton. So what they're doing, they're showing me how to play golf with right-handed clubs like Chuck just had, and wanting me to hold it like you would a right-handed club that didn't feel comfortable, didn't feel natural, didn't feel right to me. So I'm just doing poor. I mean, I'm doing bad because nothing about that feels natural to me to hold this like this, just like a bat. If I had a bat, trying to bat right-handed, when I played Little League Baseball, I batted left-handed. It's the only way I knew how to bat. And so when I played golf, this didn't seem right. It wasn't natural to me. So what did I do? I quit. I said, I can't do this. I told Brother Alton, I said, I can't do it. I'm not getting accomplished anything. I'm not being successful at it. It doesn't feel natural to me. It doesn't feel normal to me. Thank you for the golf clubs. I'm glad y'all gave them to me. You know, I'll put them up. Maybe one day I'll pick it back up and take some lessons or something, and I'll get better at it. Well, they sat up for years and years and years. And then Chuck comes along. He said, you ever play golf? Yeah, I used to. Well, you know, told him that story, just told y'all. And he said, well, simple solution. What you need is left-handed golf clubs. Silly me, duh. Because they are made for a left-handed person. Meaning somebody who plays left-handed is going to feel natural to them. I get it now. This feels more natural to me to grip it like this, left hand down, right hand up. This stuff over here, like crazy stuff that a right-handed person holds it with this tower, you know, unnatural. Just like if you that are right-handed today, if you were to grip the left-handed club, it wouldn't feel natural to you. Well, me gripping a right hand didn't feel natural whatsoever. So what's all of that about? What's that about? Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for men. Whatever you make, whatever you produce, whatever you perform, whatever you commit to it, do it with all your heart. Be genuine, be real about it. Whatever we do and perform, commit ourselves to it, do it with all your heart, as though you're doing it for the Lord. The heart wasn't in it. Nothing seemed natural about it. Nothing seemed normal about it. Nothing was being accomplished by it. I wasn't getting any better. Not that I'm very good even today now, still, Chuck, but nevertheless, I've got the right tools. I've got the right things to use to become better. Therefore, whether we do something for ourselves or for another person, we do it as though we're working and doing it for the Lord because the Lord's watching us. Because if we're doing it for Him, He's watching us. So we're seeking the Lord's approval, not someone else's approval. You know, sometimes we get kind of crossed up in when we do things. Imagine this morning, I had put this arrangement together. Imagine that, even though I didn't. Just try to imagine I put this arrangement together, even though I didn't. But let's imagine I did, and so I wanted to give it to Bubba. And so, well, kind of heavy, so I better not try to even move it, hand it to you. But I wanted to give this arrangement to Bubba, so I gave it to Bubba. You know, sorry you've been feeling bad. Here's something to help you feel better. Take it home with you. You know, you'll enjoy it. But let's say when I gave it to him, he didn't say thank you. He didn't say I appreciate it. He didn't say anything. And so when he got home with it, not that I knew it until later when Patricia told me, he threw it out in the yard. Well, when I find all this out, I go home and tell Cheryl, I said, Cheryl, you know, it took a lot of time making this arrangement for him. Hand it to Bubba. You know what he said to me? What? Nothing. You mean he didn't say thank you? He didn't appreciate it? No. What did he do when it got home? I heard he threw it out. So you know what? I'm not going to do anything like that again. I'm just not going to help him. I'm not going to do anything. Not going to give me any more flowers. If that's the way he feels about it, I won't do anything. In fact, I won't give anybody any more flowers. So that's the way it goes. I just won't help anybody like that. I won't do anything for anybody. Because see, what happens sometimes, we do things for other people thinking we're doing a great task. They're going to appreciate this. They're going to like this. They're going to be helped by it. They're going to be encouraged by it. They're going to be comforted by it. They're going to be lifted up by it. And they don't even care. Have you ever come across a situation where you did something like that? You spent a lot of time. You spent a lot of money. You spent a lot of effort. You gave it all you got and said, I'm going to do this for somebody because it's a great thing to do. They're going to love it. They're going to enjoy it. They're going to be glad I did it. And then you didn't even get a thank you. You didn't get a letter in the mail. You didn't get an email. You didn't get a text. You didn't get a phone call. You didn't get anything in return from that other person. So then how does that weigh on your mind? You know, you begin to say, well, I learned my lesson. I won't do anything for them again. They didn't thank me. They didn't appreciate it. They didn't want it. So who cares? Forget about them. And then if we do that again another time for another person, they don't appreciate it. They don't thank us. Then we do it again. Finally, we just kind of close ourselves up and say, forget it. I'm not helping anybody. I'm not doing anything for anybody. Nobody appreciates it. And then we begin to turn it inward. Well, nobody even appreciates me. Nobody thinks much of me. Nobody identifies with me as this person that wants to help people because nobody appreciates and thanks anything I do. And we turn it inward on ourselves. We begin to beat ourselves up, depress ourselves, put ourselves down, and oppress ourselves simply because of the reaction we get from other people when we try to help them. And so that's why the Scripture comes along. That's why God comes along and says, wait a minute, hold up, stop, time out. Whatever you do, if it's putting flowers together to give somebody, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart. Give everything you got. Put 100% in there, mind, soul, everything. But do it as though you're working for the Lord. Not for men, not for somebody else, not for anybody else to take notice of, but do it for God. Therefore, whether we're doing something for ourselves, for another person, we do it as though we're doing it for the Lord because He's watching over us. He's watching us do it. So when we put together the flowers, it's when we hoe the garden, or when we cut wood, or when we shovel dirt, or when we hit a ball, or when we hit a ball, we're not doing it for somebody else to get their approval. We're doing it for God. So it doesn't matter what the other person does, doesn't matter what the other person says, doesn't matter how they react to what we do or don't do. What matters is what God says, what God wants about it. Because we're serving Him, we're doing it for Him, not for somebody else. Because He's going to reward us. We're going to see in just a moment what He's going to do about it. So why do we work to please the Lord? Why do we not work to please people? Because if we're looking for gratification from somebody else, if we're looking for that building up from somebody else because of something we did for them, and we don't get it, then we're feeling bad about it. We're feeling down. They didn't even thank me. They didn't appreciate what I did. They didn't say anything about it. They didn't seem to like it. Boy, that just gets me down. You see how that works? Hasn't that happened before in our lives? God says, let's just take the other person out of it and just put me in it, He says. Whatever you do it as though you're serving the Lord because He's the one that's going to appreciate it. He's the one that's going to build us up. He's the one that's going to say thank you. He's going to be the one to pat us on the back because somebody else may not. And if we keep doing something for other people that we're not getting that something back from them, that's when we get discouraged and want to quit. Just like, let's start with the family. Family and friends, neighbors, people we know. You do something nice for them. You do something helpful to them. You come in and do something, whatever it is, some kind of work, some kind of task, some kind of performance. And somebody in the family or friends, whoever it was, they just don't appreciate it. They don't thank you. They didn't think anything about it. And therefore you're saying, well, just forget it. Don't worry about that person anymore. And how about work? Boss comes in and says, I need you to have this done by Friday. Here's a list of things I need to do by Friday. And we look at it and say, okay, I can get all this done. And by Friday comes around, we're talking about it, we're telling our spouse about it. And we say, the boss gave me the special task. If I get it done by Friday, I bet you anything he's going to give me a raise and a promotion if I get this done. It's a special task. He only gave me to do it. And so we get it all done. We put all our work into it, hand it to the boss on Friday and says, here it is, boss. Here's a report of what I did. Boss looks at it, and he's just reading through it. We're just kind of standing there waiting. What promotion do I get? What kind of raise am I going to get? I'm just thinking, I know it's going to happen. No, it's going to happen. Boss looks up and says, you still here? Yeah, I just want to see what you thought about it. And yeah, okay. Thank you. You can leave now. That's it. Nothing special. Nothing extra. No pat on the back. No thank you. No raise. No promotion. No nothing. We go home and tell our spouse, you know what the boss said when I turned that work into? No, what did he say? You get your promotion? No. Get a raise? Mm-mm. You say thank you? Mm-mm. No appreciation? No. That's it. I'm done. I'll just go do my time. I'll put my time in at work. That's it. I'm through. I'm done. They'll need not expect any more out of me than what I get put in my 8 hours a day. And how about school? Teacher gives a special assignment. I love giving special assignments to our students, especially homework. And have this done by tomorrow, next day, whatever it is. The student goes home, says, I got a special assignment. I bet if I do everything real good on this special assignment, that C I've got in class will raise it up to an A. Spend a lot of time, a lot of work, concentrate, focus, get it all done, turn it in, hands it to the teacher. Teacher says, thank you. Everybody, okay. Student comes up to the desk, teacher, what you think about mine? Yeah, okay. Did your assignment, good, okay, fine. And, now what? You still got a C. Why didn't I get an A? Well, because you had the assignment to do and you made C work on it just like you did everything else, and you don't get an A because of it. And so we get disappointed sometimes, get let down sometimes because people aren't reacting to us like we think they ought to react to us when we did something very nice, very kind to them, very comforting and encouraging to them. We get nothing in return. That's why God says, stop, quit, don't do that anymore. He says, when you do something, work at it with all your heart. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart. But do it as though you're working for the Lord, not for men. So why do we work to please the Lord, not please people? Because people let you down. Haven't you found that out? Every now and then, every once in a while, somebody's going to let you down because you didn't get a reaction from them like you thought you were going to get. I was nice to you. I was kind to you. I gave to you. I helped you. I did this all for you. Took my time, my money, my efforts, my whatever. Made that arrangement. Took me hours to do that. Gave it to you. You don't think anything about it. Didn't get that reaction. So why do I quit trying to please people and start trying to please the Lord? The very next verse tells us, since you know that you receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward, it's the Lord Christ you're serving. What we're looking for when we do something for somebody else is a reward. I put my time in it. I put my effort in it. I gave it all I got. I spent some money. I gave up something else I might want to do and did this for you, and I get nothing in return from you, emotionally, spiritually, or anything. So we got to turn it around and say, okay, I'm going to give this flowers to Bubba. He didn't thank me. He didn't appreciate it. Threw them out when I got home. But it doesn't make me feel bad because, see, I didn't really do it for him. I did it for the Lord. And when we know what the Lord wants us to do, if I got the direction from the Lord to say, make these flowers for Bubba and hand them to him, then it doesn't matter what he says. He can throw them down on the floor right in front of me. And it won't matter because the Lord told me to do it. And when the Lord tells us to do something, He directs us to do something, some task, some performance, some effort for somebody else, that time, that money, and all that into it, we commit to it, we're doing it for them, Him, not for them, then it doesn't matter how the other person reacts. Because we walk away from there saying, doesn't matter. I didn't do it for you anyway. I did it for the Lord. Then when that person, does whatever they do, it doesn't matter to us. We walk away from there knowing we heard from the Lord, we made the flowers, we gave them to whoever needed them to be given to, and they don't care, it doesn't matter. God cares. Since you'll know you receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward, not from somebody else. It is the Lord Christ you're serving, not somebody else. And so if we serve people as though we're serving the Lord, our quality of work goes up. You know about quality of work? Doing your best, not just sticking something in there, not just jabbing something around, not just trying to, oh, that's broken, well, it doesn't matter. Oh, that doesn't match, well, it doesn't matter. Oh, that leaf fell off, well, it doesn't matter. Quality says, I'm going to do the best. I'm going to put everything I can into it, make it just right, make sure it's pretty, make sure it's watered, make sure all these things are right. The quality of work goes up. When we're serving the Lord, not somebody else, quality goes up. Because sometimes when we're serving other people and doing something for somebody else, well, it's just, they're used to it. It's just something we do all the time. And so we don't always get quality out of it. We don't put our best into it. We don't shovel the dirt just like we ought to shovel it. We don't cut the wood like we ought to cut it. We don't hoe the garden like we ought to hoe it. We don't bat like we ought to bat. We don't hit the golf ball like we ought to hit the golf ball because it's just something we do all the time, over and over and over. So the quality goes down if we're doing something for somebody else. But if we think about we're serving the Lord's watching me. The Lord directed me to do this. The Lord's noticing what I'm doing. The Lord is the one I'm trying to please. So therefore our quality goes up because you never, ever want to disappoint God. Do you? If God leads us to do something, if God calls us to do something, if God says, rush in there and do that, and we do it for Him, we want to make sure we put the best effort into it, the best quality we can get out of it, because we're serving the Lord. We want to please God all the time. So when we're serving the Lord, our quality of work is going to improve. But not only our quality, but our productivity. What's going to come out of that? What's the results of that? What's going to be the end result of me doing this, doing the best I can? What's the productivity going to be like? How much dirt can I shovel? How much wood can I cut? How much garden can I hoe? How many bats can I, how many balls can I hit? How many balls can I drive as far as I can? All those kind of things, whatever the task may be, the productivity goes up because I'm giving it all I've got. So the results coming out of it are the best it can be. See how it works different when we're serving the Lord? Because we're serving somebody else, we're not always productive. If we're getting disappointed at that boss at work because the way he reacted when I turned in something Friday of 2 months ago, I'm just putting in my time. I'm giving it 8 hours. That's all. Doesn't mean I'm giving it my best. I may be loafing around a little bit, listening to radio, talking on the phone, texting, that sort of thing sometimes. But as long as I don't get caught, I'll be okay. Productivity goes down. It's happening all across America today. Every company you can name just about talks about productivity being declining, decreasing, because people are just coming in, putting in their time, going home. Doesn't matter what happened at work. I still got a job tomorrow, and we keep going. And so that's how God turns it around. If we serve people as though we're serving the Lord, doing something for somebody else, as though we're doing it for God, quality is going to go up, and productivity is going to go up. So when we consider the Lord is aware of our work, wait, God's noticing what I'm doing. God's watching what I'm doing. God directed me into what I'm doing. Then it does not matter how the other person responds. As long as I know I'm serving the Lord. As long as I know I got direction from Him to go and do this, whatever this is, then it doesn't matter what somebody else says, what somebody else does, how they respond to it. They like it, they didn't like it, they approve, they didn't approve, whatever it might be, it doesn't matter. We're doing the task for the Lord, not for that person. So it takes all the pressure off how we work. Now we don't have to worry about what that other person may say, what they may do, how they may react. They may think it's great, they may think it's bad. It doesn't matter. Because if we're doing it to please somebody, we're only going to do it as good as the return comes back from them. If they're always praising us, thanking us, that's great, that's wonderful, then I'm going to keep doing up. going up in my productivity and my quality. But if I ever get a bad result, a bad return, that's not good, I didn't appreciate it, I don't thank you for it, then my quality goes down, and so does my productivity. Because we're looking for a reward from somebody rather than from the Lord. And so the Lord has to be the one directing us. The Lord has to be the one pointing out what we need to do. And when he does that, we're serving him. Forget about what the person says or what the person does. It doesn't matter. You're doing it to please the Lord. So when we're committed to serving the Lord, and we do it with all of our heart, all of our desire, we want to do it, we want to please God, then he rewards us with an eternal inheritance. God says, I got a better day for you. It's called a retirement system. And it's found in heaven. Only through a relationship with Jesus. He said, I got a better place for you to go than to your home down the road. I got a better place for you to live than the place you're living at now. It's called heaven. And he said, if you're born again, if you're saved, he said, right now, Jesus is in heaven, preparing a place just for us. And he's getting it ready. And when he gets it complete, when he gets through with it, he's going to come back and get us. And say, come on up here. I got a place made just for you. I've been working on it for a while, and I've been making it ready for you because you've been serving me. Everything you do on earth, you've been serving me, and I got a reward for you. Come on up here and get it. And so you see, it's him that's going to reward us. It's him that's going to give us what we need, not somebody else. And so the commitment to serving is every day, whatever we do. Not just every now and then. Okay, today, or it's Monday. Everything I do on Monday, I'm going to serve the Lord. Tuesday, well, I'm down to about 90%. Wednesday, and it keeps declining, so by Friday and Saturday, I'm just going to do what I want to do. I've done enough for God this week, and I can catch up to him next week, and I'm just going to do some other things for other people, and it doesn't matter if he's directing it, leading it, guiding it. I'm just going to do some of these other things and forget about God. I've done enough already for him this week. It's not how it works. Jesus said, if you want to be one of my disciples, we must deny self, take up our cross every once in a while, and follow Jesus. Take up our cross daily. Boy, did I get that wrong, huh? Deny self, take up our cross daily, and follow Jesus. It's every day. We don't get days off. Well, at my job I do. We don't get personal days. Well, at my job I do. But see, we're not trying to please somebody else. We're trying to please God. And that means every single day. Not every once in a while, not most of the time, not sometimes, but every day. In Luke chapter 17, Luke 17, Jesus said to his disciples, I'll get to that verse in a moment, he said that things that cause people to sin are bound to come. There's going to be, the word cause to sin means this. Sometimes people put a stumbling block in front of us. Their actions, their activities, their lifestyle, their whatever. And it becomes a stumbling block to us because we're trying to get to God, serve God, and here's this person in front of us that's just become a stumbling block to us. They're trying to slow us down in our walk with Jesus. And Jesus said things that cause people to sin are bound to come. It's bound to happen every now and then, every once in a while. Somebody's going to get in our way of trying to serve God. So it's bound to come. But he said, but woe to that person through whom they come. Woe to that person that's trying to be a stumbling block to you to slow you down in your walk with the Lord. He said it would be better for that person to be thrown into the sea with a millstone tied around his neck than for him to cause one of these little ones to sin. He said it would be better for that person that's trying to be a stumbling block to you, just have a big stone tied around the neck, thrown in the ocean and drowned, than to get in your way, trying to stop you from going to God. So watch yourselves. So be careful. Temptation's out there. Stumbling blocks are out there. Be aware. Watch what you do. Watch where you go. Serve the Lord in all things. He said, if your brother sins, rebuke him. And if he repents, forgive him. You mean if I find somebody that sins against me and he repents, I got to forgive him? Mm-hmm. Okay, I can do that. Wait a minute, he goes on. If he sins against you 7 times in a day, here comes that person that sins against you 7 times in a day. You've seen him at least 7 times during the day. If you've been with him all day long, or him or her, it says him, but we'll do him and her. and they sin against you 7 times, they come back and say, forgive me 7 times. What? And says, I repent, forgive him. 7? Once? Okay, I can do that. That's not hard. Twice? Okay. I can probably deal with twice. But 7 times in a day they come to me, they sin against me, and then they ask me to forgive them. I got to forgive them up to 7 times in a day? Okay. But the apostle said to him, Lord, increase our faith. They said, wait a minute, Jesus. We can handle once, we can handle twice, but 7 in a day, you're going to have to increase our faith. We're going to need more faith than what we got right now. I don't have enough faith to do that. I mean, I trust you, I have faith in you, I follow you wherever you lead me, but 7 times in a day trying to forgive somebody, you're going to have to increase my faith. I'm going to need more of it. I got to have more than what I got right now if I'm going to do that. And he replied, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mulberry tree, be uprooted and planted in the sea, and it'll obey you. He said, it's not a matter of size of faith. It's just a matter of faith. We either have it or we don't. We either trust Jesus or we don't. We depend on him or we don't. We rely on him or we don't. It's not a matter of how much. It's just a matter of if we do. So he said, if you got faith the size of a mustard seed, which you couldn't even see it if I had it in my hand right now, you got all the faith you need. It's just a matter of having it or not having it. So he says, he gives an example. Suppose one of you has a servant plowing or looking after the sheep. Would he say to that servant when he comes in from the field, come along now, sit down and eat? Would he not rather say, prepare my supper, get yourself ready, wait on me while I eat and drink, and then you may eat and drink? Would he thank the servant because he did what he was told to do? See, here's this servant out there working in the field for that master, that Lord, that overseer, that boss, and he's been hoeing the fields all day long, hot and tired. And finally he comes in, but his task is not done. Now he's got to cook supper. Now he's got to put it in front of the man that's the boss on the table. Then he's got to wash dishes. Then he can sit down and eat. Should that boss thank him for hoeing the grass all day? Should he thank him for coming in and fixing his meal? Should he thank him for washing the dishes and doing all the things he was paid to do all day? See, you also, you've done everything you were told to do. I should say this. We're only unworthy servants. We've only done our duty. See, as servants of Christ, it's a duty. Because that word duty there is the same word in verse 3 of 23 of Colossians. Whatever you do. The word do and the word duty are the same word. Whatever you make, whatever you produce, whatever you perform, whatever you create, practice, construct, or commit to, it's your duty. And so when God leads us to do something, when God calls us to do something, when we're fulfilling our purpose in life, becoming like Jesus, when we're following God's will, so God, I want to do your will, and God speaks to us, says, here's your will, here's my will for what I want you to do, and he says, make these flowers and give them to Bubba, and I go out and give them to Bubba, and he doesn't appreciate it, throws them down, doesn't like it, doesn't matter. All I did was do my duty. I just obeyed God because I'm a servant of his. I did what God wanted me to do, and it doesn't matter how he reacts, because God's going to be the one to reward me. And so sometimes we get kind of mixed up in life and getting involved in a lot of things we don't need to get involved in because God didn't lead us. And we get in there, we get all mixed up, and things fall apart, and it didn't go very well, and wasn't appreciated, wasn't liked, wasn't admired, wasn't thanked, and all this. And then we get all frustrated. Well, I'll show them. God didn't lead us in the first place to go and do that. See, he's going to lead us only what he's going to reward us with. He's going to lead us in his will, his ways. And if we're obedient to him, it doesn't matter how the other person reacts. Because we did it for God, not for Drew or Chuck or Gary or somebody else. We did it for the Lord. Are you serving the Lord today and just saying, Lord, I want to please you. Whatever I do today, I just want to please you. Whatever you call me to do, I just want to do my duty. I want to give it everything I got. I want to put it all in there. Heart, mind, soul, and everything I got. I just want to serve you. And if people don't react in a positive way, in a great way, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how they react. I'm just serving you. Because I know I'm going to please you, not somebody else, in order to get to heaven. Are we there today? Or do we need to get there?